Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
Thanks. I want to get back to Texas and the razor wire and the buoys in the Rio Grande. There were questions yesterday about why President Biden hasn't personally called out Governor Abbott over this, and you kind of had a two-pronged answer. You said that you have called out Governor Abbott, and you've called him out again. And you also pointed to the actions of the Justice Department taking Texas to court over this. And I'm wondering, on a lot of issues, you have been adamant that President Biden does not insert himself on Justice Department decisions. So can you elaborate on what his role was in this litigation against Texas?
Okay.
This is a Department of Justice role. This is for them to decide, and they treated this with urgency. And as you saw yourself, the Department of Justice sent the governor a letter within days of the structure going up, and followed through with the lawsuit shortly after. This is something that the Department of Justice decides on. This is something that they looked into, and they are going to take the governor to court, and I expect that the Department of Justice will have more to say on litigation shortly. But we leave it to the Department of Justice. They are the experts on this.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm a little confused how the president should get credit for what the Justice Department is doing if what you're saying is that he had nothing to do with what the Justice Department is doing.
I'm not saying the president deserves credit for what the Department of Justice is doing. I'm saying that the Department of Justice is doing their job. It is up to them to decide what is legal and how to move forward with issues like this. So this is the Department of Justice that moved forward on this. We're not looking for credit. The president's not looking for credit here. He's looking to make sure that the right thing happens. And as you know, as we're talking about the Governor Abbott, and what he has done, his record on this, it is clear. It is clear how he impedes the process. He doesn't help. He puts the lives of migrants at risk.
You sure about that?
That's how he moves forward. I mentioned last week on Christmas Eve what he did to migrant children. Left them on the street in freezing cold temperature. That's how he decides to move forward. The president, what he is working on, the policies that he's moved forward on, is making sure that we limit the unlawful entry into this country. And we have seen that because of a policy that he has put forward. And for the governor to undermine that's not helping. Why doesn't the governor talk to the Senate Republicans or Senate congressional Republicans in Congress and figure out how to fix this problem? But he continues to make this a political stunt. So we're not taking credit for what the Department of Justice is doing. What we're trying to do is what the president has shown to do is put policies forward to actually deal with a broken system, a system that has been broken for decades now.
One quick follow-up on that.
Sure.
Is there any consideration for the president to nationalize, federalize the Texas National Guard to preclude them from participating in this operation?
So look, I don't have anything to share on any new policies in regard to your question, but here's what I can tell you.
Oh my God.
Our Border Patrol agents have real work to do. They have real work to do in securing the border, instead of dealing with these dangerous structures that the governor put up and aren't doing anything to deal with the issue that we're seeing at the border. So look, the president has done the work. He put 24,000 agents, officers, federal agents to work to secure the border. That's one of the steps that he's taken. He's put policies forward to expand the legal pathways so we can deal with what's going on at the border. So this is work that the president has actually done. And again, Governor Abbott tries to impede. He impedes the process and turns it into a political stunt. That's what we're seeing, and that's what we're speaking to.
Not a joke.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I just wanted to ask about Devon Archer. He's going to be having testimony for the Oversight Committee. Does
I'm sorry, who?
Devon Archer,
Okay.
Hunter Biden's business partner.
Okay.
Do you consider him is he considered a reliable witness?
I don't have any comment on this.
One more on the Speaker McCarthy's comments on impeachment inquiry. His point seems
Wait,
to be,
say that again?
Speaker McCarthy's impeachment inquiry comments, he seems to be making the point that he thinks there's been enough mounting evidence to at least have an inquiry on this.
I've already spoken to this
Yeah,
twice
but
before.
can you at least say whether you agree or disagree
I-
that
I-
there's
I-
enough mounting evidence?
I answered two of your colleagues this question about what Speaker McCarthy is going to do, not going to do, how House Republicans are going to move forward. I just don't have anything else to share.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Thank you, Karine. I have two questions. The first focused on U.S.-Israel relations, the second on the Emmett Till event, and then you'll be directed to a short survey to gauge your level of satisfaction with this experience. Whenever
Wow,
you or
that would be new.
Admiral Kirby or even the President himself are asked about the President's relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu, invariably you pivot to discussing the broader bilateral relationship. Invariably you reaffirm the ironclad commitment to Israeli security, for example, quite in contrast with the fulsome terms in which White House officials are willing to discuss the President's relationships with other world leaders such as Rishi Sunak or Emmanuel Macron. All you seem willing to say about President Biden's relationship with Mr. Netanyahu is that the two men have known each other a long time and that they speak candidly to each other. Damn! My question is this: does President Biden trust Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Look, what I can tell you again, as you just stated, they have a long-standing relationship. They speak candidly with each other. They just spoke last week with each other and had a fulsome conversation. I'm not going to get into specifics about their relationships. I just laid out how long they've known each other, and again, they have a candid conversation to discuss their shared interest as well their concerns, and that will continue.
The record will reflect that you are unwilling to say that the President trusts Prime Minister Netanyahu. I will move on to my next and final question. On the Emmett Till event, the President's actions today speak to...
Sorry. Are you watching a game back there, Lynn?
The President's actions today spoke to a murder, an atrocity that was one of countless perpetrated against Black Americans at that time, and all of which helped galvanize the civil rights movement of the 1960s. My question is this: does President Biden believe that systemic racism is a prevalent or defining feature of American life today?
Great word.
When the president walked into this administration, and I've said this many times before at this podium, he talked about 4 crises that this country was facing and in what ways we needed to move forward. One of them was the climate change crisis, and the president has taken historic action to deal with the climate change, to make sure that we deal with an issue that is affecting not just us here in this country, but globally. And you've seen this. He talked about COVID, right? How COVID was taking the lives of thousands of Americans a day. And he put forth a comprehensive plan to move forward on how to make sure that Americans got shots in arms and that we were able to move forward in a way that we dealt with COVID, that dealt with the pandemic. And now look at us today, we're in a totally different place.
How ironic.
He talked about the economy and how the economy was upside down. Businesses were shut down, schools were shut down. We were in a completely different place because of the lack of action that the last administration took. And the president took action, Democrats took action, we passed the American Rescue Plan, and now we're in a place where we've created more than 13 million jobs. We're in a place where wages are up, inflation is coming down, it's easing.
Oh my God!
And we have talked about Bidenomics, the president's plan, and how it's moving this country forward. And last but not least, obviously, he talked about the racial injustices that we're seeing. He talked about systemic racism. He's talked about this many times. He mentioned this earlier today when he talked about Emmett Till and the monument that he signed. And so this is an issue, a question that the president has dealt with in a serious way. On the federal level, signing an executive order very early on in the days of his administration to make sure that we have a federal government that moves forward in an equitable way. And And as I'm talking about all these different crises, everything at the center of the policies that the president has put forth has equity at the center of it, so that we do not leave anybody behind.